So next we have an Xbox 360 wired controller. So this isn't the wireless one, this is a wired one. And at the moment I've got it plugged into the Cronus Max, and from the Cronus Max it goes into the Brook converter into the Nintendo Switch. The Brook converter I'm using here is still the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 Wii U one. Now you can get yourself an Xbox 360 to Xbox One Wii U Brook converter, and then if you have this, you'll plug this straight into your Nintendo Switch, and then you don't need the Cronus Max. You can plug your Xbox 360 controller straight into here. The reason I'm going to keep using the PlayStation version is because this Cronus Max is a really popular adapter. A lot of people have these, a lot of them have been sold. So rather than having to keep on buying different Brook adapters, I want to just use the one Brook adapter and then the Cronus Max to use the equipment. That way it's going to save you a lot of money if you already have the Cronus Max. But if you haven't got the Cronus Max and you just want to use an Xbox 360 controller or an Xbox One controller, then definitely just get yourself this version of the Brook adapter. Now the only difference between them is when you use the proper Xbox Brook adapter, it will light up with the player that you are. So at the moment I am connected here, you can see it moving on screen, but I've got no indication of what player I am. When you use the proper Brook version, then it will light up with player 1, 2, 3 and 4 depending on what player you are. So if you have a look there, everything works on this like it should do. Again, there's no NFC reader and it's mimicking the Pro controller. So the buttons, you can't follow the buttons on here, you have to follow the buttons from the Pro controller. So the B on the Xbox will actually be the A. So if it says press A on screen, don't press this A, you're going to have to press the B here, which is where the Pro controller A is. Analog sticks and everything work perfectly, and they are analog, not digital. It all works correct like it should do. So let's go to Snake Pass just to show you. And if you have a look there now, you can see I can move the head around, I can look around the place, and if I press this button here, which will be the same as ZR, then I can go over things. And you can use the D-pad to change the expression on his face. The Xbox 360 wired controller works well. It doesn't have any motion control because this is not a feature of the Xbox controllers. There's no gyroscope built into them, so that's the reason it's not enabled. So next we have the Xbox 360 wireless controller, and I'm going to be using this one with a gaming PC receiver. So this again is if you wanted to connect it up to your PC to do things like the Xbox app. And if you have a look here now, you will see that it does work. So this is the only controller that works wirelessly. So if you have a look here, you can see I'm moving along. And everything works as it should do. The analog sticks work like they should do. So if I go down to system settings, again it's mimicking the Pro controller, and again there's no motion control because it's not a supported feature on the Xbox. But if I go down to controllers and sensors, go to control sticks, you can see now if I press in there, it's a perfect analog stick, nice and responsive, and it only moves a small bit if I want it to move a small bit, and a large bit if I want it to move a large bit. Let's get out of there and show you the right analog stick. You can see there that that also works fine. Nice and responsive. Straight back to the middle. Okay, so let's go to Snake Pass again. And if you have a look there, it's working as it should do. So it's nice to have the option of a wireless controller. Again, I've got this set up through the Cronus Max, but if you were to buy the Wii U to Xbox 360, Xbox One Brook converter, then you don't need the Cronus Max. Okay, let's do the Xbox One. And here we have the Xbox One controller working, and as you can see that works fine. This controller works really well. It doesn't have motion control because it's not a feature of the Xbox controllers, and also it doesn't work wirelessly, it will only work wired. So at the moment I've got a micro USB cable plugged into the Cronus Max, and the Cronus Max is plugged into the PlayStation Brook converter. If you just wanted to connect up the Xbox One controller and no other converters, you wouldn't buy the Brook PlayStation version, you would just get the Wii U to Xbox 360, the Xbox One Brook converter, and then you wouldn't have to use the Cronus Max. Right, the analog sticks and everything do work as analog sticks, everything works like it should do. If I was to go to Street Fighter 2, press that, if I press this, it brings me back to home, and I've got the full range of buttons. On Street Fighter you don't need the full range of buttons, you can use this on the Fightstick. So the Xbox One controller works well. You can also use it on the Bluetooth version, but again, it doesn't work on Bluetooth. Let me just put that on pause a second. Right, so even if I plug in a Bluetooth adapter into here, which I have done, you still can't sync this up. It doesn't recognize it, it can't sync to anything because there's no drivers or anything to sync it up to. So again, you have to use it as a wired controller. But it doesn't matter what Xbox One controller you've got, it will still work just fine, and it will copy the same controls as the Pro controller from Nintendo. Right, so that's the Xbox One controller. Now some of you might be wondering if you can use the Xbox wireless adapter for Windows. Unfortunately, just like the PlayStation 1, it doesn't work. In fact, this one works even less because it doesn't even sync up to the controllers at all. And that's because there is no Windows 10 driver in here to sync up to. So if I was to use the Wii U to Xbox Brook converter, it doesn't work. If I plug it into the PlayStation Brook converter, it doesn't work. Even if I plug it into the Cronus Max, it will come up with E because it's not recognised. So there's nothing I can do with the wireless adapter for Windows.